Warning: there will be some light spoilers for Skeleton Crew in this video. Proceed with caution. Welcome back, Star Wars fans, to another deep dive into a galaxy far, far away. If you're new here, this is Star Wars Fanatic, where we break down everything from the deep lore of Star Wars universe to the latest series and films. First, I'd like to apologize to you all. Threw my back out a while ago, and I've been dealing with that for some time. I wanted to make this video much sooner, but concentrating with that pain going on has been really difficult. Finally, I am going to give you all some thoughts on the Skeleton Crew. Today we're talking about Skeleton Crew, a series that may not have the high stakes of Andor or the epic scale of The Mandalorian, but it did something incredibly special. It reminded us why we fell in love with Star Wars in the first place. It captured the wonder, the adventure, and the sheer possibility that Star Wars has always been about. But before we get into it, if you love Star Wars as much as I do, make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so you never miss an update. And if you want to help support the channel, consider becoming a member. You'll get access to exclusive content in there. All right, now let's talk about Skeleton Crew and how it brought us back to what Star Wars was meant to be. Most of us got into Star Wars as kids. We weren't analyzing the political subtext of the Empire or debating the ethics of Jedi philosophy. We just saw an adventure that made us dream. Star Wars has always been for children first and foremost. Not in the sense that it's childish, but in the sense that it captures childlike wonder. That's why Skeleton Crew is such an important addition to the Star Wars universe. Where other shows have leaned into darker, more mature themes, Skeleton Crew takes us back to the feeling of being a kid, of looking up at the stars and believing we can be part of something much bigger. This is where Skeleton Crew succeeds, where the Boba Fett show struggled. Boba Fett tried to appeal to everyone. It wanted to be a gritty crime drama, but also a family-friendly adventure. The problem? Most of Boba Fett's fans grew up with Star Wars. They didn't want a sanitized version of the feared bounty hunter. They wanted the grizzled warrior from The Mandalorian. The series didn't fully commit to either tone, leaving many fans disappointed. I'm not including myself in that, just saying what the tone is for the fandom. But Skeleton Crew? It knows exactly what it is. It's a story about kids, made for kids, but still enjoyable for all ages. There's no expectation that it needs to be darker or grittier. Instead, it leans into the spirit of adventure, and that's what makes it work. Shows like this aren't meant to have high-stakes deaths or brutal action sequences. They're meant to show young characters facing challenges, feeling fear, and growing through their experiences. And that's exactly what this series does. At the heart of Skeleton Crew are its young protagonists, Neil, Wem, Firm, and KB. These kids aren't Jedi bounty hunters or warriors, they're just kids. And that's what makes their story so engaging. Neil starts off as a quiet, hesitant voice of reason, always second-guessing himself, but by the end, he's leading the charge to save his friend Fern, stepping into a leadership role he never thought he was capable of. Wem is a dreamer, the one who wants adventure, who fantasizes about becoming a Jedi, but by the end of the show, he realizes that the adventure isn't what he truly wants. He just wants to be home with his father. Fern and KB go through similar arcs, mirroring the real-life experiences of children when they step outside their comfort zones. They deal with doubt, fear, and anxiety, but ultimately, they rise to the occasion, because that's what childhood is about, learning that you're stronger than you thought you were. And that's what makes Skeleton Crew even more special. It doesn't need massive galaxy-spanning stakes. It doesn't need to rewrite Star Wars history. It just needs to tell a story about growing up. And it does that beautifully. Now let's talk about Jude Law's character, Jad Nana Wood. If you were expecting a deep, complex villain with a tragic backstory, it's not the point. He's not meant to be a dynamic character. He's meant to be a test for the kids. Think about classic coming-of-age stories. The antagonist isn't always some grand, layered figure. It's usually just an obstacle to overcome. That's what Jude Law's character represents. He's not the focus. The kids are. In the end, Skeleton Crew is about how these kids navigate the challenges thrown at them, not about who's throwing those challenges. For years, Star Wars has experimented with different tones and genres. Some of these experiments have been wildly successful, like Andor, which gave us a spy thriller set in the Star Wars universe. Others have struggled to find their footing. But Skeleton Crew succeeds because it understands the core of Star Wars. It's not about war or politics, even though war is in the title of Star Wars. It's about hope, it's about discovery, and it's about family. It's about kids looking at the stars and realizing they can be more than what they are. The show isn't trying to reinvent Star Wars, it's just reminding us of what it's always been about and why we fell in love with it in the first place. At the end of the day, Skeleton Crew is an important part of the Star Wars universe, not because it changes anything or everything, but because it brings us back to the heart of what Star Wars is. It gives kids their own adventure, their own heroes, and their own journey of growth, just like Luke Skywalker, just like Anakin Skywalker, just like Ezra Bridger. And maybe, just maybe, is preparing the next generation of Star Wars fans to take their first step into a larger world. More recently, and generally speaking, I like to keep my opinion out of Star Wars shows and these videos. Doing the deep dives is something we can all appreciate without any kind of bias. But this time, I wanted to show my bias. My bias of loving Star Wars. Do I love all of it? No. But I'm not meant to either. Each Star Wars series has a movie and series that has been made for different kinds of audiences. Andor is more for adults, where Skeleton Crew is more for the child inside each of us. Comparing these two is like comparing The Wizard of Oz to The Godfather. Both great films, but can't be compared to each other. So with that, I really liked Skeleton Crew. I liked it for different reasons than I liked Andor or The Mandalorian and Ahsoka, because they are all different kinds of shows. Skeleton Crew made me remember what it was like sitting in the theater at 4.5 years old in 1977 and experiencing Star Wars for the first time. It made me feel like I was right back in the theater on opening day for The Empire Strikes Back in 1980 and Return of the Jedi in 1983. Star Wars hasn't grown up with me, and I'm okay with that because I've grown up with Star Wars. That's it for today's deep dive. If you've enjoyed this video and want more in-depth Star Wars analysis, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. And if you want to support the channel even further, consider becoming a member. You'll get exclusive content in there. So, thank you all for watching. Thank you for exploring Star Wars with me, and may the Force be with you, always.